Live on YouTube, Facebook.
Yes, we are live. We're coming in from Facebook and YouTube here. And man, I am so excited to have you here today, David. Just so everyone knows who's watching and tuning in today, today's episode is streaming live, and we want you to engage and ask some questions. Man, I'm excited because, first of all, you have an amazing story, man, and just without me having to spitball the whole introduction, I want you to kind of just give people an idea of who David is and how the heck did you get from where you were when you got started to where you are today.
Man, so I guess really I'm an apartment investor. That's all I do. Everything I do revolves around apartments for the most part. I started buying when I was in college. When I was around 20, 25 now, I've bought just under 1,000 apartments in the last 4.5 years. And I raised capital from investors. Some deals I own on my own, or I've JV'd with some partners. So I've done all different types of structures. And I also own a software company that is actions platform for multifamily investors. So a couple different things, but I keep busy and I love apartments. That's all I do.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So, guys, if you're watching this, man, David is a wealth of knowledge, and share this out there. Tell a friend. Get somebody else that you know on this who needs to hear this, because David literally went from 0 to 100, as they say, but not just 100 like doors, like 100 million assets under management. So. That is, dude, it's just insane. So for people like me who are, playing the small, single family game and stuff like that, I personally have quite a few of my own limiting beliefs about, like, I don't have enough money to buy these apartment buildings. What would you say to somebody like me, or maybe somebody watching who may be thinking that, and how are they supposed to buy an apartment buildings?
Yeah, dude, like you said, I mean, it's all in your mindset. Limiting beliefs are a big thing. When I first started, I thought that I had to get a job, save up money so that I could invest in real estate. And then as I learned more and more and I met more people, I started figuring out, okay, I don't have to get a job. I need to start in single family real estate. And I'm just going to start flipping homes. I hear people flip homes for no money. And I tried to get into that. Didn't really do a lot of it. I wholesaled some deals. But that was just another limiting belief. I didn't need to get into single family before I got into multifamily deals. And so when I made that mindset shift that I was going to start buying just apartments, and I focused it, within a year, I'd bought 120 units. And so it was just a mindset shift, man. It's like, do you feel like you're unstoppable and that you can do anything? And is this really what you want to do? Like, I was really passionate about it. I was all in, like I still am. And apartments it's really what I wanted to do. So I think you kind of have to know that and then lean into it with some confidence. And yeah, you got to throw those limiting beliefs out the door, man, because, if I could do it, anyone could do it. Seriously.
I couldn't agree with you more. So it sounds like just like pure focus and commitment. It was either you were doing it or you were. So you're going all in, multifamily, nothing else, no distractions.
No distractions. 100%. That's it.
Okay. See, guys, it's easy. Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. No, and it's not easy, right? And there's there's a million things along the way that'll come up that are difficult. And, from starting to raise money to building a team out to, finding partners to sign on loans to finding the deals, because that's one of the hardest things, right? I've got a lot of money ready to be invested, but it's hard to find a good property to invest in. And so, there's always going to be a struggle. But if you can create systems around those and really focus in on them, and just take consistent action on these things over and over again, you're bound to find success in this. I have a friend who he's 26 and he's been working for over 2 years trying to buy an apartment. And for the first 18, 20 months, he was consistently looking at deals. He was a real estate agent on the side, good at that. And he finally, just this past year, found a couple of real deals, and we partnered on one of them, and it was a $16 million project. and he got into his first deal and made a lot of money and did really well. And so, you know, it just took him. He was consistent though for 2 years. He did it, and then he ended up getting to like almost 300 apartments in his third year, all at once.
Wow. So he's just going, probably making a lot of offers and searching, and then finally, after however long, he came across this awesome deal, and now he's part owner in how many units did you say?
Couple hundred.
Couple hundred. Okay.
Yeah, we did a 230 unit deal together last year.
That's amazing. That's incredible. So you mentioned systems and processes. I think a lot of us are kind of wondering, like, can you elaborate on what some of those systems and processes are? I know there's probably a lot that goes into like the management, all of that, but can you talk about specifically like how to find the deal? What are some things that you do in order to set yourself up to be able to put something like this together?
Yeah, so there's a couple avenues we use to find deals. Number one, I would say, is relationships with multifamily brokers, relationships with people who specifically spend lives to find, you know, owners that are willing to sell the property.
Yeah.
And so these guys are spending all day, every day, talking to owners, talking to sellers. They're finding properties that they can go out and they're buyers. You know, first step, I would say that you have to go in and build relationships with a couple brokers in the market that you're targeting so that you can get leads at your way when they find a deal. So that's the first way. So consistently doing that, have 5 to 10, don't have a group of them. Let's say you're in a market like, where do you live, Michael?
I live in Las Vegas.
Let's say you're in Vegas. I know a couple brokers in Vegas. If I was really full-time focusing there, you know, I'd probably want to have like 5 to 10. I'm sure there's even more than that, multifamily brokers that I'm consistently talking with every week or every other week. And so you're bound to get good leads from that. Next, I would say we cold call direct to owners. So we get lists of owners and we'll make cold calls directly to them. And then we also send letters in the mail. And so we'll do both of those things, and we'll cold call, we'll send letters, and owners that are interested in selling, we connect with, we'll get financials from them, and then underwrite the deal, make an offer. And that's one process, right?
Yeah. So really that process doesn't sound that much different than what we do for like single family as far as like finding the deals. Like we're just telling people what we are looking for and then marketing to those folks and then waiting for the opportunity. But
Correct.
Obviously with the bigger the deal, you have to be at least more credible, I feel like, to be able to, why would the broker send you a deal? They have to have some sort of a trust and relationship with you to know that you're going to perform if they're going to send you the deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're 20 years old and you have no experience, I mean, it's going to be tough to get a broker to sell you a 200-unit apartment complex. But when I first started, it was a 12-unit, right? I didn't go that big. You know, I guess big in certain respects, but not that big. And so I had just created a relationship, consistently talked to a couple brokers, and I got a 12-unit apartment complex under contract through one of those. And, you know, I told them I had the money lined up and that, you know, we're ready to close. Like, you know, I have a partner that's going to sign on the loan. You know, I didn't really have a lot of that already lined up, but I would say that because I knew I could find it. Right. So you have to go into these things with a lot of confidence and almost, I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but there's a little bit of that in the beginning where it's like, hey, you got to play the part if you want to get, you know, people to want to work with you. You have to believe in yourself that you're able to do it so that other people will believe in you.
That's so key. And that's a great point, man, because without that, people are going to see right through it. Like who's going to want to sell you their property if you're like wishy-washy, like, oh, I might be able to do this, or I may not be able to. Like that's key. So let's talk about that, man. So what were you doing before you found your first 12-plex? Let's talk about that.
Well, I started this was in 2016. Started like wholesaling for a bit, and I did that for like 4 or 5 months. I did, you know, a handful of deals, nothing huge. And then when I cut it off, really it was just like when I was talking about the acquisitions pipeline, talking to brokers, digging up leads. That's really all I was doing. And once I'd find a lead, I would look at it. I'd put all the numbers in my little Excel spreadsheet, and I'd figure out what's the right price to pay to get the right returns that I wanted. And so everything that I do, every offer that we make is based on our return on investment for us or our investors. And so we're looking at it in a financial sense and saying, hey, where are the rents at? Where can we get the rents? Where's the income at? Where can we get it? Where's the expenses at? Where will they be? What kind of financing are we going to get on this property? And just looking at all these factors and a financial model and figuring out what price to offer. And then we offer it. And if they say no, on to the next. If they're close, we'll negotiate.
Right. So then with that first deal, can you kind of just like walk us through? I know you've already talked about a lot of the steps that you took to do that, but like, how did you find that one? And how did you actually finance that deal? What's that look like?
So found that through a broker locally. They listed a guy had owned it for several years. And I think he actually owned it for like 20 years and a super hands-on owner. So this broker made a relationship, listed it. I offered what they wanted, like 600. I offered like 525 and we settled at like 550. And then brought on a partner to sign on the loan. We got a loan from a local bank, just a local regional type bank there in Michigan where the property was. And, they quoted us, I think like 75% loan to purchase price. So we got like a $400 and something thousand loan. And then we knew we had to bring another $100,000 in down payment, $125 in down payment, and then another $50,000 in closing costs and renovations.
Okay.
And so from there, it's like, okay, and now I need to go out and find $175,000 to be able to close on this deal. So I didn't have that money. And obviously they put their piece in. So now I've got to go figure out who's going to put up the rest of this money so I can close on this deal and perform. And so it was just, the next thing is like, I need to hit up anyone I know that has money. And so I was going left and right, like anyone I thought that had capital to invest. I wrote a list down. I hit them all up. I asked for referrals and, I ended up going through like 40, 50 people and I got 5 or 6 to say yes. I pitched a bunch of people. I got 5 or 6 to say yes. And they put up 25, 50 grand each. That's how I pulled some money together to buy it.
Incredible. How scary was that at 20 to like, was that scary for you, or you were just like I got to do it. I'm committed. Like, what was that process like, proposing this? Like, really, it's more of an opportunity, isn't it, for these individuals than a pitch?
Yeah. I mean, I just knew, like, because I understood the numbers, I knew that the properties were going to make money. Like, we're never going to, it's always going to pay for the loan. And like, based on historic, like this guy's managing it poorly. And even if I kept managing it poorly, it would still cover the loan, a little bit of cash the way we bought it. So for me, it's like, man, there's only up from here because I know I'm going to do a better job at managing it than this guy. And there might be problems, but I'm going to be able to work through them along the way. And so, to me, it was like, hey, this is a good investment opportunity. I want to make you some money as an investor. And, that was kind of my pitch. I showed them the numbers. I said, hey, this is where they're at. The rent's $600. I'm going to bring them to $725. It'll increase our income every year by, 15 grand. And that's going to just increase your cash flow. Give me a year and your cash flow will go up. And like, it was a logical type of pitch,
Sweet. Right on, man. That's amazing. So at that time, because I know, don't you currently live in Austin, Texas?
I do. Yep, moved there.
Did you live in Austin when you had put that deal under contract at that time?
No, I'm born and raised in Michigan, inside of Detroit. So okay. I was in Michigan my whole life until 2 years ago. I moved to Austin. So I did my first several deals up there in Michigan.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So then you have that in Michigan. What's it look like now for you? Because aren't you kind of expanding operations and buying in other states?
Yeah, so I live in Austin now. We own a couple properties in Texas, one in Atlanta, and I own a couple JV deals up in Michigan, and looking to buy in Indianapolis. I'd like to buy more in Atlanta and more in Texas. I'm focusing a lot on Austin itself though, and buying some properties near downtown. I've got about 200 units, so we're developing north of Austin as well. We're building from the ground up, so. It's got a bunch of different things going on.
Okay, so not only are you buying and restructuring these deals, you're actually developing 200 units. I didn't know that.
I am, yeah. We've got 50 that are being built at the moment, a 50 unit property, and then we have a 150 unit property that we're planning and getting approved for development.
Beautiful. Did you hear that, guys? Come on, like that's amazing. I hope you guys have questions for David, because this guy, he brings a ton of knowledge to the table. He's only been doing this for 5 years, and as you can see, what is it, 950 units that you're up to, or probably more than
Close to 1,000, yeah.
Pushing 1,000. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get the elephant out of the room. I've been creeping your Facebook a little bit. I see that you've been flying some airplanes. So tell me about this airplane thing that you're up to over there.
Yeah. Oh man, I fell in love with flying last year. And I have a couple buddies that have planes, and they kept telling me like, "Hey man, you got to go try out flying. Like you love it. Like go fly." It's called a Cirrus. It's a brand of airplanes. They've got like it's kind of like a bougie single prop type airplane.
Okay.
And so I went and I tried it out, and I hired an instructor. And after my first couple hours, I was like absolutely hooked. And so I'm almost done, probably a month or two out from getting my license. And then I plan on getting some kind of little plane by the end of this year. And it's just the ultimate freedom, you know?
Oh, 100%. So you're talking about getting a plane, and obviously you can go fly and look at more real estate if you have a plane, and that's a business expense.
Yep,
so
exactly.
It all makes sense.
Exactly. Big write-off for the business. And yeah, so.
Cool. If you don't mind me asking, like, what's a plane like that cost? Because I have a lot of interest in eventually getting a plane as well. So what's that? Does it say Cyprus or
Cirrus? Yeah,
Cirrus?
Cirrus.
Okay.
And if you get a used one, like I plan on getting one that's like probably 3-4 years old with just a couple hundred hours on it, it'll probably be like 500 to 600,000.
Okay.
But you can get into starter planes for like 150,000.
Right.
And and if you want, they, banks will finance them over 20 to 30 years, just like a house actually. So they've got some good financing on them. But yeah, you can get a starter plane for like $100,000 all the way up to, these are like $500,000 to $750,000.
Okay. So, don't worry about the Lamborghini. Let's go ahead and just get the airplane. That makes more sense.
Exactly. Yeah, that was my thing. I got a bunch of buddies that buy supercars. I'm like, man, I've always wanted a Lamborghini. It's like my dream. But when I started flying, I'm like, man, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, it's not going to help my business. A plane will help my business because I could go tour more properties and also have a lot of fun. So I decided to do that instead.
Solid, man. That's amazing. Okay. Well, getting kind of closer to the end here, I wanted to open it up. If anyone has questions for David, drop them in the comments below. I guess let me ask you this. What would be do you think there was any sort of like a breakthrough moment? I always like to ask guests this because I feel like everyone may have a time where they're like something just kind of clicked. Do you have a moment in your career of real estate where you would say that you had a breakthrough?
I mean, I early on, I definitely had a couple breakthroughs. Rich Dad Poor Dad was huge for me. That's what got me hooked in real estate. And then I read the 10X rule, and it made me write bigger goals. If I didn't read that book and kind of get engulfed in like thinking big, I probably would still be going for small single family type stuff. And so that was a huge break. Like my first goals in early 2016 were that I wanted 10 rentals by the time I was 25.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm 25 now. And then a couple months later, I had read that 10X rule book, and I started writing, I want 500 units within 3 years. And I wrote that in May of 2016. I still have that notebook. And in April of 2019, month before the 3-year mark, I'd forgotten about this goal I'd written because I'd just been writing new goals at that point. But I actually closed on a deal that put me up to 520 apartments, like 2 years, 11 months later. And so if I didn't write that down and focus on that and set that as my goal, I'd still be working towards those 10 single family rentals. And all it took was me thinking bigger and then taking actions that mapped to those bigger goals. And
wow, that is so good, man. So 10x. I love the movement. What in writing your goals down, it sounds like those two things alone kind of helped you catapult your actual, goals there.
Yeah. And working 100 hours a week helped too. It's a lot of work that goes into it, but
disgusting work ethic, right?
Disgusting. That's in my bio. Yeah.
That's
how it goes, man. You gotta be willing to put in the hard work. It's not easy.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. So, have you been to the 10x conferences that Cardone puts on?
I have not. No.
Okay,
they're cool.
Yeah, they're definitely pretty neat. Makes you.
You been to one?
I have. I went to the one in Miami a couple years ago. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Good times. But
awesome.
Read that book on the way to the conference, and it made me realize that my goals are way too small. So. Gotta increase those goals for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just consistency. It's like once you change what your goals are, you're naturally going to start taking actions that lead towards that, right? So it's like if you want to go out and buy single family houses, that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to go out and do larger and larger deals and have a $100 million net worth, like you're going to start to have some much larger goals, and then take actions that are going to map towards that, right? So it really does come down at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, 100%. So I heard you mention a book, and that's another question that I like to ask on this podcast. Is you mentioned Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I think is a fantastic book. A lot of people talk about that book, but is there any other books would you say that you would recommend that helped you get to where you are?
Yeah, one I would recommend is a book my business partner Glenn Gonzalez just wrote, and it's called Maintenance Man to Millionaire. It's an inspiring story. He started as a maintenance man on an apartment building 30 years ago, and worked his way up to owning several thousand apartments. And a really cool story on picking the right kind of business partners and making life decisions and all this great stuff. So it's called Maintenance Man to Millionaire by Glenn Gonzalez. You can find it on Amazon.
Glenn Gonzalez. Okay. I'm putting this in the chat there for anyone who's interested in reading a book of a maintenance man to millionaire. That's amazing. I like that.
Yeah. Cool story.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for sharing. We'll definitely check that one out for sure. Glenn Gonzalez. All right. And let's see here. Where can people learn more about what you have going on, David?
The best way is probably follow me on Instagram at Real Estate Jedi, Facebook and LinkedIn, or YouTube. Just search up David Toupin. And my real estate company website is obsidiancapitalco.com.
All right. Beautiful. I'm going to post that in the comments for anyone who's looking to check out more and follow David's journey. Obviously, I would highly recommend doing that and see what he has going on. And then also here is any last thoughts or words that you would like to leave listeners with today?
And there's no limits. If you really want to go for it and you want to buy apartments, it doesn't matter if I don't know if a lot of your audience is young, but if you're young, that shouldn't stop you. There's no reason that, if I couldn't do it, then definitely anyone else could do it. So just go out there and get it.
Go out there and get it. I like it. Yeah, I think that's applies to whether you're young or old. Honestly, it applies to everyone. It's never too late. I think I talked to a guy who was 60 the other day, actually in Oklahoma, who started investing at 60 years old. He was actually 80. I take that back. He started investing at 60, and he had 40 single family rentals, and he's doing really well for himself.
That's dope. Hey,
right?
It doesn't matter when you get started, as long as you get started.
That's just
real estate is something that every person needs to have in their portfolio, on their way to building some kind of wealth. Real estate is just fundamental.
Couldn't agree more, my man. So David, anyway, I appreciate you coming on today, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate that. I know it really resonated with me, and I know I'll be checking out for sure Real Estate Lab. Really intrigued. I think just surrounding yourself with other individuals in this business is absolutely key to kind of dream and think bigger. So thank you. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome, man. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. We'll have to do this again when you hit 2,000 units.
Let's do it. Would love to.
All right, guys. We'll catch you next time.
See you, man.